Okay. So this unit have a 20% weightage in a mid one. Okay. So this 4.1 you have to prepare. Okay. In this, the different permanent magnets materials are there. So already you have studied these permanent magnet materials, which are ferrite, okay, alnico, then samarium cobalt, okay, and then neodymium iron boron. Okay. So you have to remember the comparison of these four magnetic materials. Okay. So say for example, it is asked that the which material cannot be used for a high Curie temperature. Okay. Which material cannot be used for a high temperature. So you have to know that the neodymium iron boron, it have a very good energy product. Okay, it means its permanent magnets will give a very high energy output, but the drawback is that its Curie temperature point is low. Okay, say for example, there is a low Curie temperature. Okay. Karthik, here we are discussing the yesterday syllabus because most of are absent. Okay. Okay, so in a 5 minutes we are going to start new chapter. Okay, means the chapter which is going on. Okay, so here you can see this comparison you have to keep in mind. This one. Okay, so say for example, if you will refer the Curie temperature, then you can see the figure. The neodymium iron boron have a lowest Curie temperature. Okay, so what is the Curie temperature? The temperature at which the magnetic material lose its property. Okay, yes. So same way, suppose it is asked that which material it is the best for an energy product or more energy output. So from this you can see which one is having high energy product. Which material is good as a permanent magnet? Same. Okay. Neodymium iron boron. But its drawback is that it is its advantage. Its energy product is high, but the drawback is Curie temperature is less. Okay. So these things you have to keep in mind comparison wise. Okay. So 4.1, 4.2. Then there is a what are the advantages of the PM brushless machines? Okay, that we have discussed. Okay, so you have to go through this. Okay. Uh, now it is clear. Are you able to see now? Okay, sorry. Okay, okay. So just a second, I will repeat. Okay. So the 4.1 you have to go. Okay. You have to go with a comparison of these four magnetic materials. Okay, Akash. Now it is visible. Sorry for that. Actually, I suppose that the screen is visible. Okay. So you have to go through this particular table. Okay. So here you can see there is a different, we can say, characteristics. Okay. Parameters, we can say, which parameters, which material have a high and low. Okay. So this comparison you have to keep, and you have to keep in mind that which material is good for the energy output. Okay, which material cannot withstand high temperature, etc., that you have to keep in mind. Okay, then you have to go through the 4.3 point. So you have to go through what are the advantages of the PM brushless machine. Okay, it may be the PMSM, it may be the PMDC. Okay, whatever. Then you have to go what are the drawbacks. Okay, from this. So that point you have to go through. Then you have to go through the basic structure of, we can say, the PMSM and PMDC. Okay, what is a basic structure is there? Say for example, in a basic structure, it means I can say that the stator is wound for a concentrated winding or distributed winding. Okay, so you have to know that the stator of this PMSM and PMDC, it is wound for which type? It is concentrated winding or it consists of distributed winding. That you have to know. Okay, it may be asked that the permanent magnets is put on a which part of the we can say machine. Okay, etc. It may be asked that what is how much pole pitch is there, or we can say rotor pole pitch is there, stator pole pitch is there. Okay, then what are the different type of we can say rotors? Okay, structure wise. So we have discussed here the stator is remains same, but the rotor is different. Okay, so rotor have a different configuration. Okay, so there are these four configuration. So you have to know that what is the difference in a different configuration. Okay, in which configuration there is a axial flux, in which configuration there is a radial flux is there, that you have to keep in mind. Okay, then we have to go for the machine operation. Okay, PMSM operation as well as the PMDC operation. Okay, so in this machine operation already we have discussed about the power equation and the torque equation. Okay, so you have to compare the power and torque of both the machines, and which is better for a power output, or which is better for the torque output. Okay, then you have to know that key which will give a trapezoidal waveform, which will give a sinusoidal waveform, which will give a, we can say, square waveform, whatever. Okay, so that you have to keep in mind. Here you can see the main thing, the PMBLDC machine generally adopt the concentrated winding instead of the distributed winding. Okay, and it has the trapezoidal air gap flux density distributed instead of the sinusoidal flux distribution. Okay, in a PMSM there is a sinusoidal flux distribution, but in a BLDC, or we can say PMDC, it have a shape of trapezoidal. Okay, and in that case, in a PMDC there is a concentrated winding is adopted. Okay, while in a PMSM we can also go for the, we can say, distributed winding. Okay, then in a PM synchronous machine already we have derived this torque equation, yes or no? In that session only, these are the offline sessions when this chapter is gone. Okay, so during that offline session only Toy and Derek were attending that session. Okay, Derek, have you recalled these equations? Okay, so from this equation you have to know that the output torque, or we can say electromagnetic torque of the PMSM motor is depends upon what? Okay, so here you have to know this equation. Okay, the MCQ, see, the small line is very important. Say for example, it is asked the developed torque can be maximized. So it may be asked that how you can maximize the torque developed in a PMSM. Okay, so if in option it is given that by controlling the phase difference between the armature current and back EMF waveform to be zero. Okay, so because what is a phi? Phi is the angle between what? It is an angle between the EMF and the armature current. Okay, back EMF and armature current. Okay, so if the angle will be zero, so cos zero means one, so at that time you can get a maximum torque. Okay, so this may be asking a MCQ type questions. Then you have to know that what is the total power. Okay, you have to remember that how much period there is a conduction and how much there is a non-conduction period in case of the PMDC machine. Okay, so here you have to know this, here is a 120 degree is the conduction period. Okay, non-conduction period of 60 degree. Then what is a total power? So in that case of the PMDC motor, see here it is the trapezoidal waveform. Okay, the current, it is a look like a stepped wave. Okay, but if you will observe the back EMF, so back EMF in a F phase, B phase, C phase, you can see it is a in a trapezoidal. Okay, and at a time any two phase will be conduct. At a time only two phase will be conduct. See over here, here you can see that in this particular duration there is a phase is there and B phase is there. But if you will observe, you can see there is a no C phase in a particular this portion. Okay, if you will see this portion. Okay, so A is conducting, B is conducting, but C is not there. Okay. So if you will take a different interval, you will find out that at any time only two phases will be conducted in case of the PMDC. Okay. So it is the, what is the total power? So it is a 2 EMIM. 2 EMIM. Okay. So that you have to know. Okay. Then once you can find out the P, we know that what is the torque? Torque is equal to, or power is equal to torque into speed. Okay. What is the power? Power is equal to T into omega. So you can find out T. Okay. And then you can take a ratio of PMDC and PMSM motor power ratio. So here you can see that the power output, or we can say power capability of the PMBLDC motor is 33% higher than that of the PMSM motor. Okay. Same way, if you are going for a power density, then the PMDC motor have a 15% higher power density. Okay, so that already we have discussed in offline sessions. Okay, and also we have completed the modeling of the PMSM motor. Okay, so here you have to go through the modeling. Okay, from the PMSM motor, what is the equivalent circuit we can draw? Okay, for the direct axis voltage and quadrature axis voltage. So this circuit is equivalent circuit for direct axis. Okay, and this is the circuit of quadrature axis. No, Akash, and all of you, there is no sum will be asked. Yes, the sum will be asked like that. You have to find out the small things. Okay, but not like that you require a calculator. Okay. Okay, so up to this you have to do in this first unit, or we can say unit, in our case unit is 1, and for this particular book the chapter is 4. Okay, so you have to do up to 4.3.3.1. Okay, from this there is no content in a syllabus of a mid one. Okay, so up to this you have to do. So what is the last topic? The last topic, it is a 4.3.3.1. Up to this you have to do. Is it clear? Okay, now in the case of the SRM, you have to go through the unit number 5. Means in our syllabus it is a unit number 2, and in a book there is a unit number 5, chapter 5. Okay, so whole SRM we have completed. Okay, so here you have to know that what is the basic principle of the SRM, on which principle of the SRM is working. Okay, what is the different system configuration, means what is the type of rotor is there, okay, etc. This is the basic thing. Okay, where you can put a SR machine. Okay, for a, we can say high speed and low speed. Okay, then what is the structure of SR machine? Okay, same way you have to think that key, what is the, which type of the rotor is there. Okay, both are salient pole or not, or we can say that the stator is consisting which type of winding, etc. Okay, so basic structure already we have done. Okay, so these are the different configuration: 6 by 4 pole, 8 by 6 pole, 12 12 by 10 pole. From here you have to also think that if you are increasing the number of rotor poles, then what are the drawback that you have to think. Okay, you have to also think over here that we can say that the width of the rotor pole is high, or we can say rotor teeth is high, or width of the stator teeth is high, etc. Okay, then we have derived this equation of torque. Okay, already we have derived in a, just a second, 143. Okay, so I hope are you able to see. Okay. So already we have derived the torque equation in a SRM. Okay, so here we know that this is the equation of a torque. Okay, this is the equation of torque, we can say. This one. Okay, so you have to know that key which torque is depends upon which parameters. Okay, it is proportional to current or square proportional, whatever that you have to see. Here we have seen that already. I told you that. Just a second, I will make a smaller one. Okay, then what is the construction basic that we have already discussed? Okay, you have to know that how to find out the stator pole arc, rotor pole arc, stator pole pitch, rotor pole pitch. Okay, and also we have discussed that generally the here in this figure, you can see that the what is the tooth of the rotor width. Rotor tooth have a how much width in this figure? Rotor tooth have a how much width in degree? Yes, 24. Yes, Derek. And what is the width of the stator tooth? Toe 80. Okay. So here you can see that the rotor tooth, it is wider than the stator tooth. Okay. Why? Why? Because see here in the figure I have explained, you suppose consider that this is a stator pole. Okay. And if it is your rotor pole is there, then if your width of the rotor pole, it is less, then the total flux coming from the stator cannot be utilized. Okay. And that is called as a fringing effect. Okay. But suppose consider that your rotor width is higher than the stator width. The most of the flux you can utilize. Okay. And there is a no effect, or we can say the fringing effect can be eliminated. Is it clear? Okay. So we can say to take the maximum benefit of the aligned flux or aligned inductance, to take a maximum benefit of the aligned inductance, the rotor tooth width is always higher than the stator tooth width. Okay. Or the second thing we can say in terms of fringing, the fringing can be reduced. Is it clear? Okay. Then already we have drawn this waveform of inductance, etc. Okay. So here you have to see that what are the shape of the different terms. Okay. So you have to see over here what is the shape of the inductance. Okay. What is the shape of the dl by d theta? Okay. How much period is overlapping? How much period you can say? So here you can say the 6%. It is a overlapping, or we can say non-conduction. 82 24. Just a second. So here I have explained when it is moving. So 24 minus 18. Okay, so this is a 6 degree. Okay, so the MCQ will be asked like this also. Okay, then why the torque is negative? Okay, what is the reason why you are getting a negative torque? And to avoid this negative torque, what are you doing? Okay, that you have to think. Then you have to think this basic terminology. Okay, you suppose consider that if the reluctance is increasing, what is effect occurs on a flux, inductance, etc. Okay, then you have to see that the di by dt, it is depends upon which parameters? Rate of change of current. Okay. So here torque is proportional to what? We have discussed all these things. Okay. What is the minimum value of L minimum is possible? Okay. All these things we have discussed. What is the di by dt? It is depends upon which parameters. Okay. What is the K? Okay. The torque is proportional to here you can say VDC square. Okay. So that equation you have to remember. This is a torque equation. From the torque we have find out the power T into omega. Okay, and this is the power output equations. So you have to remember these equations, and you have to know that this power output is depends upon which parameters. Okay, then we have to discuss, already discussed the three different type of mode of the SRM. Okay, when speed is low, speed is medium, and speed is high. Okay, you have to know that why the current is in a chopping mode. Okay, because we know that to avoid the negative torque, what we are doing, when the torque is dl by d theta is coming down. Okay, in that case, what we are doing, we want to make a current zero. Okay, and to make a current zero, what we are doing, we are giving a negative voltage. Okay, so here you can see that whenever you are giving a negative VDC, there is a decrease in a slope of the current. And when you are giving a plus VDC, there is an increase in a slope of the current. Okay, but it is in a particular limit. Okay, so that is between the it is approximately around the I reference. Okay, so that is a current chopping, and it is occur why, because we are making a plus VDC and minus VDC. Okay, so here it is already written, the graph is chopping mode as we are giving plus VDC and minus VDC alternatively. Okay, then we have discussed about the torque speed characteristic. Yes, you have to remember that what are the different mode. Okay, what is the meaning of constant power mode, constant torque mode, up to which we can use a constant torque mode, after which speed we can use a constant power mode. So after the base speed we can use a constant power mode. Once your constant power mode, it means the critical speed is coming. Okay, because we know that to increase this speed we can go up to maximum theta, but once your theta is reaches to its maximum value, we cannot increase the advanced angle control method. Then what we are doing, we are using the t omega square product should be constant, and that is also called as a natural operation. Okay, so that you have to know what is the changing. The constant power mode is used for a high speed, low speed, or we can say minimum speed or less speed, that you have to know. Okay, and then we have discussed this, we can say torque speed characteristic. Okay, so we have discussed for a different region. Okay, omega b is the base speed, omega c is the critical speed. Okay, and theta naught is the theta maximum. So up to beyond the critical speed, there is a natural operation is coming. Okay, but when the speed is less than base speed, there is a constant torque mode is there. The speed beyond the base speed, there is a advanced angle control mode, or we can say constant power mode is there. Okay, then we have discussed about closed loop speed control. Then two converter topology we have discussed. Okay, one is a simple center tape winding. Okay, VDC VDC. What is the drawback that you have to remember? What is the drawback of this topology? Okay, and if you are using two switches, then what are the advantages? You are using two switches per winding. Then when the two windings per phase. Okay, that we have discussed. Then we have discussed design criteria. Okay, that is very important also. Okay, what is we can say proper method for this? Okay, what are the different equations? Say for example, I want to design the rotor diameter and the core length. Then which equation is used? Okay, how you can decide this dr and lc? Okay, so generally the ratio of this is nearer to the unity, and then we have to find out. Okay, here you can see to determine the rotor diameter and core length. Generally the rotor diameter to length ratio is close to unity. Okay, then you have to see that what is how you can select the air gap. Okay, you have to see that if the shorter air gap is there, what about this smaller air gap is, what about these, all the things you have to keep in mind. Okay, then once you know that these how you can decide the rotor poles and stator poles. Okay, so we know that in a k, m is a number of phases, k is only positive integer, and q is maybe positive or negative integer. Okay, so you have to find out that if the m and q is given, how you can find out the rotor poles, stator poles, etc. Okay, what is the equation of switching frequency? what is how the pole arc is defined. Okay, so already we have discussed. BS, it is a stator pole arc. BR is a rotor pole arc. And what is alpha S? Alpha S, it is called as a pitch. Okay, it is called as a stator pole pitch. Okay, and alpha R is called as a rotor pole pitch. Okay, then how you can sizing the rotor pole height and thickness. Okay, so these things you have to do. The main important, you have to go for advantages of SRM. What are the advantages of the SRM that we have discussed? Okay, and we have compared the SRM with the motor which is used for the electrical vehicles, which is an induction machine, and we can say permanent magnet machine. Okay, so from this we have concluded that the main drawback of the SRM are three. Or we can say the torque ripple. Okay, so the main drawback is that the torque ripple is more in case of the SRM. Okay, if you are using a number of rotor poles more, okay, then you can reduce the torque ripple. But at the same time, the switching losses will be increasing. Okay, so you have to, we can say, do the moderation between this. Then there is the noise is there, vibration is there. Okay, so there are three main drawbacks of this SRM: torque ripple, vibration, and noisy operation. Okay, so if you are going through this particular chapter in a book, okay, then this is the unit number 5. Okay, the all the things we have discussed. Okay, but in our way we have derived this equation. Okay, this T is equal to, okay, we have discussed these waveforms also. Okay, we have discussed these waveforms also, torque generation, phase inductance. Converters we have discussed only three that we have already discussed. Okay, so you have to don't go through this particular SR converter topology. You can refer directly that notes. Okay, this waveform already we have discussed. This converter topology we don't have discussed. Okay, so don't go through this. C dump SR converter we have not covered. Okay, then this is also not covered. Zero transistor SR converter. We have discussed in SR motor control. We have discussed one control. It is called as a speed control. Okay, so that is we have discussed current chopping control for constant torque operation. Okay, so these torque characteristics we have discussed. Okay, so you have to go through up to point 5.4.1 only. Okay, in a control method, you have to go through only speed control. Okay, then you have to go the design criteria. Okay, and all the things which we have discussed in our note, the same thing is are over here. Okay, but main points we have considered all. Okay, we have also done a simulation in we can say ANSYS Maxwell. Okay, the last point of the simulation is remaining. Otherwise, all the things we have done in this simulation. Okay, you can use this particular data and you can compare the result. Okay, so I hope up to it is clear to all of you. Application of application example. Okay, so that we have covered in ANSYS Maxwell. And okay, so it is over up to this. Okay, so now with same time, just we are revision the motor which we the chapter is going on. Okay, so tomorrow we will not do any revision. We will directly start. Okay, so let us reveal through our which motor we are going on, Akash. Unit number 3. Which motor is there in a syllabus? Unit number 3. Which motor we are presently discussing? Anybody know which motor is going on? Stator PM motor drives. Yes, Derek. Okay, so okay, so the we are going through the unit number 3, okay, which is a stator PM motor drives, and in your KT Chow book it is a unit number 6. Okay, in syllabus it is a unit number 3. Okay, so we have discussed that why it is required to invent this type of motor. Okay, so can anybody give a reply why this stator PM motor required to invent? Generally, which motor we have discussed? We have discussed rotor PM motors. The permanent magnets are normally put on the rotor. Okay, but what are the drawbacks of this? Because as the permanent magnets are put on a rotor, you cannot use for a very high speed. Okay, why? Because if the centrifugal, due to the centrifugal forces, maybe the permanent magnets may be come out. Okay, and the rotor is generally inner side. Okay, so is the yes mechanical vibration one is, and second is the rotor is inside. So also the permanent magnets is inside because they are keeping in a normal design the rotor, a permanent magnets on a rotor. Okay, so temperature rise will be more. Okay, so there is a problem of the thermal stability. So due to these two problems, you cannot operate very high speed, and the second there is a temperature rise is there. Due to these two drawbacks of rotor PM motors, the need of the stator PM motors is arised. Okay, then we have, so here that we have this point shows that, so in the basic structure of these we can say stator permanent magnets, all the permanent magnetic materials are located in the stator. Okay, so permanent magnets are located in the stator. Okay, but keep in mind, if first of all you have to give a supply, input supply. Okay, and for there is a one winding is required, that is called as the stator winding. Okay, so whenever we are saying stator PM motors, means the stator is consisting its own winding plus the permanent magnets. Okay, so and also it is maybe possible that the permanent magnets also consist of the stator is also consist of field winding. Okay, to for a controllable flux. Okay, rotor have a only simply iron core. Okay, so whatever the drawback of these we can say rotor PM motors is overcome over here. So these two are the main advantages, and hence it is really useful in a we can say electrical vehicle motors, because the main thing is it is also less noisy. Okay, then there are different type of the stator PMs. One is a flux controllable. Okay, main is, and the uncontrollable and flux controllable. Okay, so what is the difference, Karthik, in these two, flux uncontrollable and flux controllable? Are you there, Karthik?
Yes, ma'am.
What is the difference between these two, flux controllable and uncontrollable?
Mm,
Derek, do you know? Yes, Derek, your answer is right. Flux controller means based on the permanent magnet excitation. Okay, and the permanent magnet excitation is given by the field winding. Okay, so see that in a flux uncontrollable, only one winding is there, which is in a stator. Is it clear? And the permanent magnets, it is also in a stator, but permanent magnet flux cannot be controlled. So it is called as a flux uncontrollable. Okay, while in a flux controllable, the stator have two windings. One is its main winding for a supply, getting a supply. Second is the field winding. It is also on the stator. Okay, why field winding? Because you can control the flux. Okay, and also the permanent magnets are there. Okay, so all the things are on the stator. So the difference is there. Here only one winding is there. So it is called as a singly fed. Is it clear, Karthik? Derek, the flux uncontrollable, it is called as a singly fed. Okay, and flux controllable. So it have a two windings. So it is called as a doubly fed. Okay, so singly fed stator PM motor, doubly fed stator PM motor. Okay, so there are under the flux uncontrollable, there are basically three motors. DSPM. What is the full form of DSPM? Anyone know? What is the full form of DSPM? Yes, Derek. DSPM means D for doubly, S for salient. Yes, doubly salient PM motor. Okay, doubly salient. Doubly salient means rotor have a salient pole as well as the stator have a salient pole. Okay. What is the second? FRPM? Anyone have idea what is the FRPM? Flux reversible. Yes, Derek. Good. Flux reversible. Are you getting all of you? Akash, are you there? Sachin? See, these three basic types are based on the permanent magnet excitation. Okay, how you are giving the excitation to the permanent magnets. Okay. All are under the category of these three are under flux controllable. Now, what is the third one? Yes, FS, flux switching. Okay, flux switching. See, DS for doubly salient, FR for flux reversal, FS means flux switching. Okay, so these are the basic motors. Okay, now what is the flux uncontrollable? So the main two categories of a flux uncontrollable HE. What is the meaning of HE? Already I told you it is a doubly fed. Yes, hybrid excited. It is called as a hybrid excited. Okay, hybrid excited. What is the meaning of FM here? Yes, flux mnemonic. Okay, the FM is flux mnemonic. Once we are going through, you can understand what is the difference. Okay, now these two motors have just put the basic of this flux uncontrollable. Okay, so the HE hybrid excited with doubly salient pole. Okay, hybrid excited with doubly salient pole. So it is HEDSPM. Hybrid excited with a flux reversal, that is the called as the HEFRPM. Hybrid excited with a flux switching. Okay, same way the FMPM flux mnemonic permanent we can say motors. So the flux mnemonic with doubly salient pole, okay, flux mnemonic with flux reversal, flux mnemonic with a flux switching. Okay, so these are the basic types of the stator PM motors. Okay, already here I have written the name, basic names. Okay. Is it clear? Okay. Then we have discussed that basically there are 4 things in case of the stator PM. First of all, the machine itself. Then we require a converter. Then we require a sensor and controller. Okay. Now, converter means what? Why? Because see, we require a inverter. Okay. And in case of the doubly fed, we also require a converter. And the sensor is required for a speed control, rotor position we can say, and to find the sensors is for the rotor position. Okay. So we have seen that in a singly fed means flux uncontrollable. You can see that there is a inverter is required to give a supply to the 3-phase stator winding. Okay. And to check the rotor position, the sensor is required. Okay. And to control the speed, we require a armature current. So sensors sensors will sense 2 things, one for rotor position, one for armature current. Then it is given to the controller, and this is your reference signal. So by comparing the reference signal and actual output, the input voltage will be changed. Okay. Then there is a doubly excited. So here you can see there is a, what is the difference? Here we require a DC-DC converter. Okay, why? Because here there is another winding on a stator. See the field current, or you can say magnetizing current, but it is on which it is already put on the stator field winding. It is also on a stator. Okay, but here you have to feed 2 things. You have to feed stator winding and you have to feed a field winding. Okay, so here you can see the supply is given from inverter to the stator main winding. Okay, and directly DC supply is given to the field. Okay, so here the additional thing is added, which is a DC-DC converter compared to the singly fed. Okay, so obviously its control is difficult. Okay, and its cost is also high. Okay, more complicated and costly, doubly fed. Okay, so up to this we will do. Okay, so in the next time we will directly start from here. Already we have discussed, so we will directly start from this operation of DSPM. Okay, so I hope that it is clear. So the syllabus is clear, and I hope that all of you can get a good score. Okay, Sachin, be regular this time. Huh? So thank you all of you. If there is any question, you can ask. Akash, Karthik, Heath, Toe, Derek, Sachin. Is it clear? Okay, Derek. Karthik. Okay, so here I'm ending the session. Thank you all of you. And today I will create a subject in a canvas. Okay, and by night 9 o'clock in today, I will put the material. Okay, whichever I have in a OneNote. Okay, for the we can say SRM. Okay, that I will put, and also the material which I have done up to this unit number 3 stator motor PM motors, that I will put in the canvas. Okay, So thank you.